Number 6.
All right, Bill, you're live.
Welcome to the Friday, November 19th, 2021 Cicero Town Board meeting, which is a special board meeting. For those of you who are in the room here with us this evening, please note the exit signs on the at the door at the rear of the building and the one over here to the side. With us here, in addition to the board members, we have Chris Woznicka, Steve Eternal, Teresa Roth, Elke Johans, Wayne Freeman, Gretchen Walter, Casey Councilman, Dick Boise. And the first item will be, next item, clerk will please call the roll.
Counselor Boykin.
Here.
Counselor Carr.
Here.
Counselor White.
Here.
Counselor Bacallo.
Here.
Supervisor Meyer.
Here. Okay, first item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. We have Mr. Boise. Dick, would you like to lead the pledge?
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Don't go away, Dick. Dick?
Away. Gotta stay for the whole meeting now.
Yeah, just wait right there, please. You can stand right here. Back up, back up.
Bill, you're off the camera.
All right, good idea. We're in the holiday season, and we frankly have a lot to be thankful for in this community. And one of the reasons we can be thankful is, even though COVID was all around us, the folks here in this building, folks at Highway, Police Department, all the parks all over the Cicero town government family, we've been safe. And that's been important because we had a mission to do, keep each other safe, but also we had a lot of residents and visitors, at our facilities. And when this thing first started, one of the first guys who stepped up was Dick Boise. And we had constant communication, and his message was always the same: what do you want me to do? And so if you remember, it was like every day, almost every hour, things were changing. And we'd have a few meetings here and there, and guests would come in. We use rooms like this room instead of normal meeting rooms. And Dick was always there to make sure everything was sanitized, before and after the events. And again, that was important, but it was his attitude. It was a 100% cooperative, can do, keep the residents here safe, and and I really appreciate that, and I'm sure all the folks in the town of Cicero appreciate that. So it's my honor on behalf of all the town board members to offer this certificate of appreciation. We, the town board of Cicero, do hereby proudly present the certificate of appreciation to Richard Dick Boise for his outstanding service, keeping our buildings clean and sanitized during the COVID pandemic, awarded this 8th day of December 2021.
Thank you, Bill.
Good job.
Great job, sister.
Okay, next item on the agenda, Cicero Town Board approves a $2,500 donation from the Abundant Life Christian Center. Whereas on November 12th, 2021, Abundant Life Christian Center presented the Cicero Police Department a $2,500 donation check for a community policing trailer. Now therefore be resolved that the town board approves the donation of $2,500 from Abundant Life Christian Center for the purchase of a community policing trailer for budget line B 312056.
Second.
Discussion on the item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boykin.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Cicero Town Board approves a $1,500 donation from the Cicero Police Volunteers in Police Service. Whereas on November 12, 2021, the Cicero Police Volunteers in Police Service presented the Cicero Police Department with a $1,500 donation for a community policing trailer. Now therefore be resolved that this town board approves the donation of $1,500 from the Cicero Police Volunteers in Police Service for the purchase of a community policing trailer for budget line B 312056.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Picolo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. The board approves the purchase of a Patriot Trailer Solutions 6x12 community enclosed community policing trailer, whereas the police department is in need of a community policing trailer. Now therefore be resolved, the town board approves the purchase of a community policing trailer from Patriot Trailer Solutions LLC in the amount of $5,701, budget line B 312056.
Second.
I'm gonna let you guys decide that one. You're the tie.
I give it to Nancy. I withdraw my second.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't even finish. it. She was
Counselor
so
White was fast. I
Very
said
fast.
Yes,
I
yes.
didn't even get a
Photo-
chance.
photo
Goes to
finish.
her.
Photo finish. Okay, discussion on the item. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Picolo, Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Picolo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. All right, next we'll get into the budget items. First item is to declare the public hearing closed. So that takes care of that item. That was the public hearing on the Cicero budget. Next item, adoption of the 2022 Town of Cicero budget. If you recall from last time, it was introduced, there was no action. So to make sure that we have everything in order, I'm going to move again, whereas after holding a public hearing and careful deliberations of the preliminary budget, now therefore it be resolved, the Cicero Town Board approves and adopts the 2022 Town of Cicero budget, including special districts. I believe all the members here have presented their ideas for amendments. We'll take them one at a time. If there's discussion on those, we'll have, like I said, a motion, a second, and discuss those items, vote on, like I said, one at a time. I anticipate most of those items will go rather quickly. At the end of the amendments, we're going to have a brief recess because Elko will need to compile those results because, as you know, we have 3 different parts that we're doing. We have the AB and the DB. So that being said, I believe all the members have the amendments as presented. Okay, the first one does not have a name with it. It's just is number 1 and proposed by, and since we didn't have a name, Elko put in idea. Does anyone want to sponsor or introduce amendment number 1? Okay, Ms. White.
So this is to correct the math error in computing the salaries and adjust one of the part-time people to get the 2.5% salary, like all the rest of the union employees, instead of a 2%.
Yeah, I made a math error when I was computing the number of hours by the total per hour. And the increase for Alex Ryan to get her up to 2.5% is $208.
Okay, do we have a second on the item?
Second.
Second, Ms. Pacalo, discussion on the item. For those of you who attend the meetings pretty regularly, on the December 30th, 2019 budget, special board meeting, there was a great deal of discussion about health insurance at that meeting, but one of the key components was that action by a represented body does not necessarily automatically transfer to other employees. They're all done on their own. So I'm going to be voting no on that item. Any other discussion on the item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Picolo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No, the amendment passed. Next item, number 2.
I'll take it. This increases Teresa Roth's salary, or increases her raise to 2.5%, an addition of $340.
Second,
Second, discussion on the item? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
No.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No, the amendment passes. Next item, number 3.
But again, this increases or changes Steve Procopio's raise from 2% to 2.5%, an addition of $370.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No, item passes. Number 4. Mike, Nancy, you get to decide who's doing that one.
You can have it, Nancy.
No, go ahead. I already did.
Oh, okay.
You guys can agree, I'll do it.
So this is decreased judgments and claims by $5,000 in the highway budget, DB 19104.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Chris? Are you good with this?
I don't do anything with it.
This would be if there were any judgments or claims against the highway department. Right now, there's $30,000 in that account. It's typically not used. There's not a lot of claims and judgments against the highway department. So going down $5,000, I don't see an issue in that.
Okay, thank you.
Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is adopted. Number 5, Nancy and Mike, who wants to do that one?
Oh, I'll do this. This is decreasing the highway repair miscellaneous by $10,000. It's just a little cost cutting.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Discussion?
What repairs is this referring to, Mr. Wozniak? Okay, thank you.
Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item passes. Next one, Nancy and Mike again.
This one was decrease of road improvement for drainage. This was minus $25,000. I don't really want to pose this one anymore. I'll take it off unless everyone is willing to discuss.
I don't mind discussing it. I don't plan to vote for it.
Okay,
If it doesn't get a second, then it dies.
would you like to pull it, Mike, or?
Chris, would you weigh in? All right. You know. Yeah, Nancy?
I'm good with pulling it.
All right, it is pulled.
Okay, pull. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, next item, again, Nancy and Mike.
This is to decrease the garage contractual by $10,000.
Need a second?
Second.
Second discussion on number 7.
Do you foresee an issue with this, Mr. Wozniak? Okay.
Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Okay, amendment passes.
So
Again,
number
Nancy and Mike.
8 was price of loader minus rental fees paid. So this was a decrease of $12,000.
Need a second?
Sure, I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
You're very cooperative.
Got to get things, we got to have a discussion at least, right?
Yeah.
Mr. Wozniak, do you foresee an issue with this? Okay, thank you.
Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item passes. Next, Nancy and Mike.
Reduce highway mower maintenance for $500.
Second.
Discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Did we, no discussion on it?
Oh, go
I
ahead.
didn't hear anything.
Well, I just wondered from Chris. Okay, that was my question. Thank
He's
you.
under warranty then?
Okay,
Okay.
clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Okay, again, Nancy and Mike,
This was me, right? Reduce solid waste disposal by $1,000.
Second, what?
discussion,
Okay, thanks, Chris.
clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item adopted. Thank you. Okay, Nancy, Mike,
Reduce workers' comp by $20,000. We talked with the comptroller about this and she was pretty good with that. So that's what we came with that.
Second.
further discussion?
Elka?
I believe that there's room in the workers' comp line to reduce it by 20,000.
Thank you.
There is money this year, but I have to remind everyone, we had a 2-year agreement on the workers' comp. We pretty much bottomed it out. Our experience is not what it was. So the board should not continue to expect that the workers' comp is going to continue to go down. We've kind of hit the bottom on this one.
Would the board entertain an amendment of $10,000 instead of $20,000?
We can handle it this year, Mike. I'm just saying,
Oh, okay, you mean
Going
for
forward.
future years?
Yeah.
right, we're on a
Okay.
2-year deal. Okay,
So we're
because
good.
we agreed to have it extend with them for 2 years. Then they gave us some consideration. So again, I'm just saying we're good for this time, but don't expect it next year. This is not a reoccurring cut. So
Okay.
kind of a one-timer.
So for technical Robert's rules purposes, I will retract my amendment.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, further discussion on number 11. Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, items adopted. Thank you. Nancy?
Let's see. This is the idea of granting a stipend, giving a stipend to Teresa Roth for the amount of time and work she spends on all of the grants for whatever grants we get. I believe she's been working on 7 or to 10 at a time with no additional compensation. So that's my proposal, is to give her a stipend of $5,000, much like we do for the FOIL officer.
Second.
Okay, discussion on the item?
Yes. When Teresa was hired, I sat in on the original interviews, and Jody had emphasized that part of her job was always writing the grants whenever she found something that was worthy of. We also have several other grants that we're still working on, obviously for the parks, particularly in the Burton area. I just feel that it was in the job description when Jody had it, and I'm just passing the information along.
I think there's a difference in this one. First, is the FOIL. The FOIL is for a person who's doing job outside the job description, outside the regular defined duties of the incumbent. I have no problem putting a pay adjustment in, but I think it ought to be included in the pay and not as a substitute. This position and the Parks Department is highly dependent on what I'm going to call outside revenue, whether it's gifts, whether it's money from the village of North Syracuse or town of Clay, or, you know, all kinds of outside income. And I feel it's part of the job. If the board feels that the director position is not paid properly, I would prefer that it would be just, okay, you make a modification of the pay and not have it as a stipend.
I would be willing to do that.
I'm fine with that.
So should I pull this one?
You can amend it's your item, you can amend it.
Then I would like to amend it to raise the salary of the Director of Parks and Recreation by $5,000.
Okay, we don't have numbers whether we're in agreement, we'll just go with that verbal without the numbers.
By numbers, you mean
objection?
without the percentage, or you mean without a starting and
The
ending
actual
salary, you
salary.
mean? Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, any objection, because we don't have numbers, so no objection to the verbal item? Okay, there's no objection. Further discussion on the item as amended.
I have a question.
Okay,
Would, right now I have the stipend being charged to the A fund, seeing that's where most of the grant expenditures are through. Would her salary then change for the B fund, or would we put this portion of the salary in the A fund?
Where's it supposed to be?
Her, Teresa's salary is all charged to the B fund.
And that's where I believe it should be.
Okay.
okay, are we clear on the amendment as proposed?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, anybody else? Clear? Further discussion on?
Has it been seconded as amended?
No.
I'll second it as amended.
Okay, so in effect, Ms. White has a brand new amendment. So is everyone clear on it? Is the clerk and is the comptroller clear on the amended item?
Duly noted.
Okay, thank you. Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
No,
Counselor Carp,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Counselor or Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, amendment passes. Thank you. Okay, you have another Nancy Mike.
I'll take it. This is number 13.
Correct.
It is to reduce contingent expenses by $25,000. From 100 to 75.
Second?
Okay, discussion on the item?
Alka,
I can live with 75,000.
do we have an actual from, or pretty close to where we are this year?
Yes, I've used the 75,000 from this year to plug holes. So. I can live
Just
with-
a rough guess, it's fine.
We've transferred 75,000 out of the contingent account this year.
Thank you.
Okay, further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
No,
Counselor Carp.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Okay, number 14, another Nancy Mike.
Well, this was the increase in the salary for the town clerk. Does this need to be pulled?
It's your option to pull it. I believe there's a conflict on the amendment. I believe I've given you the information on that.
I got it. You want to see it?
Oh.
Oh, okay.
Wayne got it for me.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
you're,
keep-
you know,
can you
according,
keep-
per
can you
your
keep-
email, and I have not done independent research, per your email, it's not a legal amendment, so I think it's moot, isn't it?
Well, it's on the agenda. so
Right,
I'm
right, but I'm
giving-
just saying
I'm
we can't
giving
approve
the sponsor the option to pull it.
Oh, I
and
got
Go
you.
from there. Okay, are you keeping it or?
Well, can I get a better explanation?
Uh,
Or do we not want to go into that?
You have a question? Is that what you're saying?
Well, what I read quickly was that it should have been in the preliminary budget when it was first presented or published, which we didn't even see the preliminary budget to be able to do that.
I have to correct you. The preliminary budget and was given in all the electeds' pays were part of it, and it was part of the legal notice posted in the paper.
For the preliminary budget.
Correct.
So we hadn't seen it before it was published, correct?
The preliminary budget was put on the desk of every member and was given to the town clerk.
before or after it was published, or? I guess that, I'm just wondering timing wise.
Yeah, I'm
You
curious.
know,
on the
like for
timing
next year,
myself.
basically, if if we want to do something like this next
For
year,
for next year.
What do we
the-
do?
The suggestion would be, again, my personal opinion, is that you, the board members, communicate what you would like to see the electeds pays and have a conversation about that.
in like October, when you first published this?
The normal budget process is that whether it's the special districts or the department budgets are to be presented normally no later than the 1st of September, so that the comptroller can start the putting together the budget proposals. And so that's a normal process that all the departments go through every year. And frankly, all towns in the state of New York are on the same calendar.
Okay,
So
so by September,
by
we
September,
would need to do this.
again.
I just want to have my notes ready
the
for next
calendar
year.
is- The calendar is put out this year.
I 100% understand where Counselor White's coming from. 100%.
Yeah, I just
Okay,
want to understand for,
right.
if you're trying to do it next.
Now, the comptroller and the clerk are very good at making sure that the calendar dates and the steps per calendar year for the budget are available.
Sure, yeah, I believe they are. I just
Right.
didn't realize we had to do this portion of it that early. So I just
Right,
want to know
right.
what to do next
Yeah.
year.
Okay, so number 14 is pulled. Nancy, you have number 15.
Okay, number 15 is some adjustments in salaries and titles in the comptroller's office to make them more accurate. So that's what that number is. It's just correcting salaries.
And also it brings my part-time clerk one into a full-time position. And Diane, the deputy comptroller is title is also account clerk one, and she is working and has been working way out of title.
Okay, we need a second on number 15.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion on this. There's a little more background on this. We've been very fortunate to get some funding, the CARES Act, the COVID relief money. That part is good, getting the money. However, it also is going to be a great deal of additional work on the comptroller's office, because even if the money goes to another agency, then we're responsible that they're in full compliance with all the federal rules. So there's going to be a great deal of additional administrative work. There was also some money that came from Onondaga County, the same concept. And that's going to require a great deal of additional follow-up work for the comptroller's office to make sure we're in compliance. Okay, further discussion, number 15. Clerk will call the roll.
Liking,
Yes,
Counselor Carr.
Yes,
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Number 16, Mike.
In the sake of trying to find cuts where I could find cuts, the number 16 was reduce police contractual by $1,000 from 15,000 to 14,000.
second,
Discussion.
Is that okay, chief?
Discussion. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Liking,
yes,
Counselor Carr,
yes,
Counselor White,
yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Okay, Nancy and Mike.
this is taking the $200,000 out of the budget for the overhang at the garage, and instead using the capital money from the salt barn reimbursement to pay for that.
second.
Okay, discussion.
I assume you have no objection to this, Mr. Woznicka? You just want the thing built?
exactly. That was my opinion, as long as it's going to get taken care of.
Okay, if it's being shifted from one to another, just remember this is kind of a one shot. That's, it's not taken out of reserves technically, but it's pretty close. Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
Yes,
Counselor Carr,
Yes,
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted.
So I believe this one that believe I reduced it more than just $2,000. I believe Nancy and I, when we were with the comptroller, didn't we say reduce it to 5?
Let me see.
Could have been a typo on my part too.
I think we went kind of like split it and went to 8.
Oh, we split the difference between all of us. Oh, all
I
right.
think. that's-
How much of the outside engineer have we used this year?
About 6,000.
7,000?
7, Nancy?
Pardon me?
You go to 7?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
I'll amend my proposal to reduce it by 3,000.
I'll second the proposal as amended.
Okay, discussion?
Can I get clarification? So are we reducing it by 3,000 or
Yes.
by 2,000?
3,000.
By 3,000.
Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
No,
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No, item is adopted. Thank you. Okay, Mike. 19,
In the sake, again, of finding cuts where I could find cuts, number 19 is reducing the roof by $3,000.
I believe
I
that
think
was
it's 30.
30,000.
Oh, $30,000, yes. But again, this is up for discussion.
do we have a second?
well, I'll second it for discussion purposes.
I think this item needs further clarification. That's a big hit on the budget for the roof. The number we had was a very preliminary number. I have to make sure everyone understands that
I'll pull it.
okay. Number 20, Mike?
I'm sorry, you pulled that?
Yes.
Yeah. But did you want to discuss it more?
No, no.
All right. So number 20 proposal was to reduce the COVID emergency funding by $10,000.
Second?
Discussion? I'll support this if the board wants it. I have to remind everyone that back in April, we had a item we had to pass where the governor mandated we have an emergency plan for new COVID and different kinds of emergencies. Frankly, we didn't have any funding for that. And the PPE and other types of things around, we don't have in different departments. So if it's going to be cut, I would suggest the departments monitor that. I brought it up at the last safety meeting that the departments should be reviewing that plan because the plan is set up so that it gets reviewed each year. So again, I would advise all the departments that if this is cut, to get their updated plans together quickly. Okay, further discussion on number 20. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyke,
no,
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Mike.
This was reduce overtime afternoon, evening clerk's office by $2,000. Again, this was to just see if I can find any extra cuts. I can pull this if there's disagreement.
I'll second it for purposes of discussion, but my comments for this is going to be the same for number 22 and 23. The court system from every level, at least at the state level, is in shambles because a lot of stuff didn't get done for a long time. You know, I mean, they do work a lot at night anyway, and it's only going to get worse because a lot of stuff was put off. There's a lot of cases that were not able to be handled. You know, so I think that goes for this, that goes for the constables. And then in terms of the postage, in my, you know, I know you're not an attorney. So one of the things that happened along with the bail reform is this ridiculous thing where instead of just telling the defendant, although I think now you're not allowed to call him that anymore, that they have court, normally I would stand here and next to a client and they'd say, okay, your next court date is December 27th, whatever, at 6 o'clock. Now you have to mail them a reminder, even though they stood next to an attorney and heard from the court. So that's one of those unfunded mandate type things that was passed on to us. So in terms of, reducing postage, if that hadn't happened, I would be all for it, but I just, we have to mail out these notices. So I just don't see how that's, unfortunately, I don't think that's a cut that's going to work.
I think Counselor Carp, I will make this easy this evening. I'll pull 21, 22, and 23.
Okay. And keep in mind, though, that we already should be seeing a reduction in the cost for the constables because we are back to having that done by our constables at the rate of approximately $30 an hour instead of overtime police officers at a rate of $50 or more an hour, thanks to the contract that we passed earlier
Okay,
this year.
so thank you for pulling those. I would like to add a little more fuel to Mr. Carp's argument. The idea that it's this evening that's the old days. We regularly have court starting here at noon. It's not what it used to be. It's frequently and unfortunately it's at many times last minute notice. They'll just say, oh, in an hour, they show up and say, okay, we're going to be here. So it's difficult on all the staff. Okay, moving on, Mike, to 24.
24 would be reduce clerk contractual by $2,000.
Which clerk?
The town clerk.
Town clerk.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it for discussion purposes.
Okay,
Tracy,
discussion on number 24.
Tracy, how are you with that?
Yeah, do you see an impact on your operations with this cut, Ms. Councilman, or do you think you'll be good? Okay.
Okay, further discussion?
I really think that this evening is an obvious situation where I would believe she's working overtime. Correct.
This is the clerk contractual, I believe.
Her contractual.
Yeah, 24.
Number 24.
That doesn't include salary. That does not
Okay.
include salaries.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on 24. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
No,
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes,
Counselor Bacala,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Mike.
Number 25 was reduce clerk postage by $1,000. Again, it's for discussion, so.
Do we have a second?
I'll second for discussion purposes and then
Okay.
ask Ms. Cosselman if she feels that this cut would impact our operations.
We received a notice saying that postage did go up, so I took that into consideration. And I also would like to do a dog enumeration with postcards. That was very successful when we did it a while back, and that's the reason for the increase. So-
I will pull my item, number 25. Number
Okay.
26, public information.
Yep.
This was reduce ethics contractual by $1,400.
I assume we didn't spend any money on ethics at all this year because there were no.
We did
right?
not. Yep.
So, yeah, I don't, I'll second it.
Discussion on number 26. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
yes,
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White,
yes,
Counselor Bacala,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Mike. You got number 27.
27, I discussed this with our Parks and Recreation Director. I will pull number 27.
Okay, thank you. Okay, number 28. Mike,
This was reduce computer labor by $1,000 in the information systems. Wayne, what do you think about that?
Second.
okay, discussion on number 28. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey,
yes,
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
yes,
Counselor Bacala,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you, Mike.
Number 29 was historian. It was reduced payment to town historian by $300 from 1,000 to 700. It was always 300, or it was always 500. It went up. So
And there's no I know this, the state law mandates that we have a historian, but it doesn't mandate the salary, correct?
no.
Oh, we
It
have to
went-
se- sorry,
It actually
second-
increased
second.
last year. Oh, sorry.
Yeah. All right, I'll second it. Yep, I'm good.
Tracy, wasn't the historian 1,500 at one time?
No, that was the next one that they,
I mean,
one for, for the, they give $1,500 to make sure that we can keep the preservation of the log home.
right, but the salary or the stipend for
With
a historian, when it was 3C, wasn't it?
Always 500.
When Abraham Lincoln was a small child.
Yeah, so they're getting an increase
That
already.
was a
Judy.
lot. That was 500 was a lot.
I understand, but I was just trying to clarify only because I was several years ago was confronted with that. So I asked.
I
Thank
believe
you.
this goes back decades as far as the 500, so. Okay, further discussion on number 29.
I just want to make it clear, the historian was 500. It's now 700. So it's not like we're cutting
Right.
anything.
Yeah, it's a, 40% increase, really.
Okay, further discussion on number 29. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Carr,
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
No, I was adopted. Mike, number 30.
This was reducing the contractual for the historian by $600. Again, discussion purposes.
Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, discussion number 30.
do we have an actual expenditure on this so far this year, Ms. Johns?
Yes, we have. We bought some flags and then there was another donation to either the American Legion or
VFW and American
the
Legion.
VFW.
So how much was the actual cost so far?
We've exceeded $1,500. I believe it's like
I'll pull it.
1,600.
Well, how much was the donation?
Donation isn't the right term. It's a contribution that they use to purchase flags. For
We spent-
both-
We spent more than $1,500 on flags.
For the VFW and American Legion. correct.
Okay, all right. Can I pull it?
I'll pull it.
Pulled.
Number
Okay, Mike.
31 was reduce utilities by $2,000. Utilities expected to increase in 2022. So this was for the Parks and Rec, again, for discussion.
Do we have a second? Second call, do we have a second?
I can just pull it.
Okay, pulled. Okay.
Utilities are gonna go
Nancy?
up.
Mine went
Nancy,
up
tax
already.
collector,
Hold on.
32.
Okay. This was just to increase the tax collector salary to the 2.5%. It's a increase of $275.
Does this fall in line with the other?
It's- Yes,
Depends if you're asking about the electeds or if you're
Yes.
asking about department.
Elected.
For the electeds are not, the electeds did not get a 2.5. Electeds are 2%. Okay, do we have a second on this item? No second? Second call, do we have a second? Okay, move on, no second. Okay, number 33. Nancy?
This is the same idea, raising the tax assessor to 2.5%. It's an additional $340.
Do we have a second? Second call, do we have a second? Move on to
The,
the next item, due to no
well,
second.
I'm just
One.
saying, the tax assessor is not an elected position.
Correct.
And you increase the other department heads to 2.5%. So
Correct.
just my,
No, she's on, the question was on number 33, the item was for the assessor, not the tax receiver. That's number 33. And you're correct, the other items were increased. Okay, further discussion on number 33? All right, first of all, I have to back up. Do we have a second, clerk?
No.
Okay, we do not have a second. Second call, do we have a second? Okay, no second, we move on. Okay, number 34, Nancy,
Again,
are you pulling that item?
oh, yes.
Okay. Okay, Judy, number 35.
Yes. Because we are,
I'm sorry, Ms. Boyke. Wait, on 34, we can't vote on that anyway, right? Because
Right, it
it's,
was pulled.
right, okay, I just wanted to clarify the reason. Okay,
Right,
okay.
okay, 35, Judy?
yes, this is in regards to negotiation of contracts. And since we are in the negotiation of the CSEA, that for the coming year, I don't believe we have negotiations with any other union contracts. Is that true?
It's
That's
not.
not true.
It's
We
not
had the
true.
Teamsters and the police department.
I thought
which
we
will be
already
in-
did that.
which-
The
no,
police
it's-
contract
police-
was,
Excuse me.
sorry.
Yeah, police department was kind of late. We picked up a number of years on that, so we're going to be into this, I'm going to call it season again. Hopefully there'll be a conversation before the contract ends. And the Teamsters is coming up, basically the same situation. So,
With respect to the, well, like, we can do it in discussion.
I'm sorry, it was a misunderstanding then.
Okay.
In that case, I would pull this one.
okay, Paul.
Mhm.
Okay, Judy, number 36.
Okay, this, I've asked this question. No one seems to know what this is for. There's,
Miscellaneous, employment issues when something comes up that I feel that I can't sufficiently Google and I need, an attorney's opinion on.
Ask Jeeves.
is
I'm
that,
sure.
is that over and above our normal attorney that we have?
I'm going to jump in here. I'm going to try to answer your question without getting into specifics. We do have a number of unconventional situations that have happened. And so based on that, we want to make sure that all the interests of the town of Cicero are handled, which is required specialized legal counsel. And it's very valuable to have that resource.
Okay,
Is this is this Hancock and Estabrook? Is that who we consult with this
Yes.
line?
Yes.
then I'll pull that one too.
Okay. Thank you. Judy?
Okay. I had a lengthy discussion with the supervisor-elect today. And after that, I am going to pull this one as well. My feelings were in the beginning because Mr. Vineski was so kind as to increase his own salary for $7,000. And he said that that was to increase interest in folks to run for supervisor with qualifications. I understand the qualifications of our new supervisor-elect. And I can see the concern of the faces on the counselors that are sitting in front of me. But I'm going to pull this one as well. Thank you.
Okay, next item. 38,
Okay, where am I here?
town board.
Town board contractual. Oh, okay. With the contractual with the town board, that's like miscellaneous things. Do we have an actual on that, Alka? Or close.
Not at my fingertips, but it does include the costs of issuing the bans each year to fiscal advisor, Premier Printing and Oric for their legal opinions. So, I mean, that's a catch-all for a lot. It picked up the stenographer for last meeting's costs, so, and other expenses that the town board may have. Usually the town, a member or two goes to a training session that's held by the Association of Towns, but I understand that hasn't occurred in the last couple of years because of COVID. So it
Yeah,
also
that-
has in the
that item-
past.
The whole area has been whittled down in the last couple of years, so it can be done, but we're,
Normally that's budgeted anyway,
right.
but, okay, I'll pull it.
okay, Judy?
Okay, economic development. Yes. This has to do with the comprehensive plan. As of date, the comprehensive plan has stalled. And knowing the complex part of it, as I attempted to do on my own, and then as we went out and got professionals to show an interest. I know that we are going to be in limbo, but we can't wait for 81 and we can't wait for the chip factory because they are going to impact our town. And I'm just looking to have money so that we're not looking for it when it comes time to hire. That's the purpose of this.
Need a second? Paul, do we need a second? Okay, no action on the item due to lack of second. Number 40, Judy?
Okay. This is in regards to engineering, in regards to all of the flooding issues that we have coming up. And I know that Kate was overwhelmed with it this year, and there's no way that she's going to be able to put up with it and do the rest of the town's engineering. The purpose of this is to have money to bring in an engineer when necessary, particularly when we are going to, we're looking at flooding issues throughout the whole town. That was the purpose for this.
Do we have a second? Second, Paul, do we have a second? Okay, item fails due to lack of second. Judy, number 40?
Okay, might as well be on a roll here. This is for the assessment. We are not in 100%. We haven't been in several years. And in order to remain at 100%, we have to have a cyclical, it's called a cyclical assessment done. It's supposed to be done every 5 years. We are now up to 11. If you notice your tax bill, it was at 97, I believe, 96. That's not 100%. So this is what it cost, $950,000 in 2009. And this is just to put us in a position because we're going to have to do a reassessment. There's not pictures online. There's a whole lot of things going on that put us not in 100% assessment. Obviously, it's a lot of money. If we can't budget it, we're going to have to borrow it.
Do we have a second? Okay, I'm going to second. I'm not in favor of the amount, but I think it needs discussion. I believe the points that Judy has brought up are valid. In reality, what this would be to set the specifications, put out the bid. We would not write one check altogether. This would realistically be a 2-year budget item, not a 1-year item. And I don't think we're in a position to take it as part of the budget. This would put us in a very difficult position as far as our fund balance if we took a one hit on this item. But maybe the board would like to consider this in maybe a smaller amount. Okay. Any discussion on the item?
I mean, this is not something that I'm in a position to vote on for next year's budget, having had no education or discussion on it. This is not something that was raised prior to the 11th hour. It may be a good point. I mean, I don't know. Certainly if that is an issue, maybe it's something we're going to have to tackle in next year's budget, but I'm not in a position to vote to allocate, not knowing enough. And again, not having the opportunity, it being the day before our budget is due. I'm not in a position to vote to allocate any significant amount of money towards this. So I have to be a no.
I would concur on that. I would offer that the board may want to, again, discuss this a little bit with the assessor and what the process would be and the bidding process. So that when the budget comes around next year, you'll be prepared. But this will take a few months to put this package together. So.
Okay.
Okay, that being said.
Could I say?
Yeah.
Because I was involved with the last reassessment, I obviously have had the opportunity to understand the whole process. This was on our proposed changes in the budget. Obviously, none of the other, did not have an opportunity to talk. But it was on my proposed list, so I just wanted to make that, it's not a surprise, it's been there. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, are you keeping the amendment?
I
Are
will,
you pulling it or you keeping it?
I'm gonna keep it.
You're gonna keep it? Okay, we have a motion and a second on the item. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes,
Counselor Carr.
No,
Counselor White.
No,
Counselor Bacallo.
No.
No,
Supervisor Meyer.
item is defeated. Don?
yes, this item restores the chief's request in his budget to be able to pay what he considers and why I concur is a competitive rate for a clerk. As someone who is in the private sector trying to hire people, and it is hard to find people right now, prices are up, salaries are up, it's hard to find people that want to work. I believe in order that we have to be competitive with the private sector, and that it's necessary to restore this funding to the police budget in order to do so.
That get seconded?
No.
Second.
Second, discussion. This item is basically 1/2 of 1% out of a $2 million budget. I believe if the chief feels it's priority, he can find 1/2 of 1%. Okay, further discussion on the item.
Can you say that again, Supervisor?
The item requested is approximately 1/2 of 1% of his budget, operating budget. And in my opinion, if he feels it's priority, he can find it in his budget.
Okay.
Okay, further discussion on number 42. Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
yes,
Counselor Carr.
Yes,
Counselor White.
yes,
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
No,
Supervisor Meyer.
item is adopted. Thank you. Number 43, Judy?
okay. Looking for additional of $100,000 for the flooding at Williamson's Parkway. Williamson's Parkway has had multiple issues and continuous, and they were raised at one of our board meetings, right along with several others. And I just feel that we need to prioritize these drainage issues and do something with them instead of blowing them off every year. I believe that we need to address it. That's why I put this as a budget item.
Do I have a second? I'll second it. I went through the cabinet of previous reports that have been done by the town of Cicero. There's a 1988 wetlands report. There's a 1988 done by CNS engineers. There's another one about a year afterwards done by O'Brien and Gear. We've had many studies on drainage issues. So I think we know we have some drainage issues. The planning board has been very clear in looking for guidance on this issue. That's why some of those reports are done. I think we're beyond studies. I think we should be doing action items and engineering and studies to do action items, not just to do studies. And Williamson Parkway, those folks aren't losing their property due to seasonal or whatever flooding. We're talking about 50, 60, 70, 80 feet of the property on a permanent basis. It's a systemic issue, not we had a storm issue. So I think this item needs serious consideration. Any further discussion on 43? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes,
Counselor Carr.
no,
Counselor White.
no,
Counselor Bacallo.
I have had discussions with our supervisor-elect. This will be addressed next year. I'm a no.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes. Item is defeated. Judy?
all right. Additional drainage for McKinley Road, Weaver Road, and Hetty Lane. Again, the gentleman that was here in regards to Haymarket It's his third year coming before the board. I did visit the property. I visited each year. We have an issue with the drainage in that area and also in Hetty Lane. I visited the folks at Hetty Lane. Again, we need to allocate money for these people with their drainage. We can't just pick one. We've got to focus on all of them. That's where the $100,000 is for.
I'll second it. The drainage committee is about $500,000 worth of projects a year. And to give you a little insight, these areas that are listed here are frequent items. This is not an item that is unknown. These are known areas that need attention. Okay, further discussion?
Yes,
44?
Chris, do we have a drainage easement on Weaver, between Weaver and McKinley? Isn't there an easement? Yeah. No, just, well, maybe it is because it doesn't go under where Elderbroom's property is. Is that our easement? Okay, because that's what's caused, because folks have built in it, trees have grown in it, or whatever. Mhm. Okay, all right, well, that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, further discussion on number 44.
Just to concur with what Councilor Picallo said in his comment prior to voting on the last item. I have also, and Councilor Picallo and I together met with extensive discussions with the supervisor-elect about drainage, and we will be approaching and addressing these issues. We're going to try some new approaches to them. And so this is not something that is going to be ignored by the next board.
How are you going to address them without any money?
Well, that's going to be, we're going to use multiple approaches, but one of the things we have to do is get our head around it. Where did you come up with $100,000 for this? Are there any estimates or you just?
Well, just because of what was budgeted for Hiller Heights.
Well, that was for a study though, right?
Yes, but
Yeah, we can use, everyone said multiple times, we've had studies after studies after studies.
this is
And
not
I-
for a
and I-
study.
And I don't disagree with that. Instead of using that money for studies, let's use that money to put it to work.
And
I
that's-
completely agree, but I'm just, I'm not in favor of just picking a number and taxing people to pick that number,
It feels like.
Well-
which is what it feels like.
Well, no, it's just that we allocate $500,000 for drainage every year. We have forever. And every year, we are like about $50,000 short of spending it. And that's all on drainage. It doesn't even have to do with these people. And that's why a rough estimate I'm saying is around 100. There's 3 properties here, not just 1, 3.
But are we even certain that if we allocate all this extra money that we're going to be able to use it all next year? That we're going to have the time that there's going to be enough time to allocate
Well-
to use all of that? Because otherwise, we're taxing these people and keeping this money in our pockets instead of leaving it in the taxpayers'
We're certainly not
pockets.
going to keep in our pocket because
If we don't-
if we use, that money is whether it be for drainage to bring equipment in, or whether it's to bring someone in as an engineer, which I was looking for, but that got voted down, to take care of this issue. I mean, it's not, drainage is drainage.
What I'm saying is I'm not confident that if we increase the drainage budget this much, more or less blindly, just saying, let's increase 100,000 here, 100,000 there, that we're going to be able to allocate all of it and use all of it next year. And I don't know that it's the appropriate thing for us to do to tax all this money or take it out of the fund balance if we're not confident that we have the amount that we're going to be able to spend it, because otherwise it is going to be in our pockets. I agree the drainage is a problem and it needs to be addressed, but simply saying we're going to do 100,000 here, 100,000 there without even any idea about what the actual cost is going to be, and being unsure if we're going to be able to get to all of these projects just doesn't seem very prudent to me.
Well, then I would say that if that's the case and you're already robbing the fund balances, that obviously there's money there. It would be there. I can't see how we can continually push off and say, when we spent close to $500,000 on drainage that isn't even on this list. It's your prerogative.
What is our actual expenditure on the drainage committee so far this year, Ms. Johans?
Just short of 500,000.
Okay, and we budgeted 500,000.
500 for the, I'm going to call it usual items. And then there are two items in there, one for the Vernon Road / Marketplace, and second one for townwide of the two additional $100,000.
You're talking about for 2021, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No, 2020.
No, I'm saying, but I'm
2022.
curious. I'm wondering for this year, for 2021, how much have we spent and how much did we budget?
Just short of 500,000.
That's how much we spent. We budgeted 500,000. So we
Right.
haven't been able, I mean,
Well, I understand your points, Mr. Carp. We've been handicapped isn't the right word, challenged because of the weather. And the projects are out there, but to get the contractor to get out to do the work. So they're ready to work. If we have a miracle and we have perfect weather for the next few weeks, then we have projects ready to go.
right, no, I see that. And I also understand that a lot of industries are having labor difficulties, which may contribute to some delays. We're talking about pretty much doubling the drainage budget without any idea if we're even going to be able to use all that money. So we're
I concur with many of your points.
okay, thank you.
Okay, further discussion on 44? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Boyd,
Yes,
Counselor Hart,
No,
Counselor White,
No,
Counselor Bacallo,
No.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is defeated. Duty
well,
45.
moving right along. This is for Beach Road. I know that all the other counselors walked Beach Road. They're fully aware of Beach Road. Beach Road is the lower point on the west side. And Cicero virtually drains into Beach Road, into the wetland swamp area. There's only two drainage ditches that drain the swamp area. Is that right, Chris? Is it three? Three. Oh, that's right, Vern. I forgot about Vern's place. So for the amount of water, obviously, that the folks in Hiller Heights even experienced, and you, counselors, saw the amount of water that just rose overnight on Beach Road. Granted, that area has always had flooding, but it's never been addressed. I've contacted the waterways, the state thruway waterways, and also I've contacted Al Sturpey because there's a state ditch back there, and that state ditch needs to be addressed. I'm just looking for money to relieve some of this water somehow, whether it be engineering, not a study, because there's plenty of studies. We just need some sort of relief along with the rest of the flooding. Thank you.
I'm going to probably get some of this wrong, but generally we have a lot of the water that goes to Nangle Creek, a lot of it goes to Montclair Bay and Beach Road that way, and a lot of it goes towards I'm going to call Williamson Parkway or to the Hamlin Marsh. There's other ones, but those are the major drainage areas. And I concur with Ms. Boyke about the situation on Beach Road. A lot of the flooding on Beach Road also comes from the lake. So if you stand there one day, you have flooding because it's coming from the lake. Another day you'll have because it comes from the swamp. And then some of those very difficult days is coming from both sides. And this year was one of those where unfortunately the folks on Beach Road were getting it from both sides. I would hope that the items that Ms. Boyke has brought up are going to be productive. And I'm hoping at the next meeting, the town board can go on record requesting the state of New York DEC in particular to work with the town of Cicero, see if some of those properties that the state owns can be dredged, more retention areas put in, so that that water, if it ends up going to Beach Road, gets there in a little more controlled way. So I concur with your thought process, Ms. Boyke. I don't agree with the money at this point.
One quick more statement. Chris, in my studying and trying to work on this, I found out that town of Cicero owns property on Beach Road. Right. And the purpose for that is? Okay, because yes, I found it in my search when I was working on this.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion by Ms. Boyke. Do we have a second?
You seconded, didn't you?
Okay. I believe I seconded for discussion.
I think so.
I'm going to withdraw my second.
Did you second it or no?
I didn't get you second.
I didn't hear a second.
Oh, sorry.
Did I make a mistake here?
You didn't second it that I had.
You did not, Mr. Supervisor.
Okay. Okay, so second call, do we have a second? Okay,
Can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
These drainage issues throughout the town are extremely important. My concern is trying to put all of this money all of a sudden in 1 year when these issues have been here for years and years and years and everyone else has ignored them. Not that we should ignore them, but I think we have to be prudent with how much we're going to start spending on this and know what we're spending it on and being concise, as Mr. Karp said, instead of taxing the residents and not necessarily being able to use that money.
Counselor White,
Thank you. I'm going to concur with your comments. I'm going to use Clinton Stitch, since they're a local company, to try to make an analogy, if I may. Up to this point, in my opinion, we've been buying Pepsi in what I'm going to call the dome prices, where you get a 12-ounce, Pepsi at the dome, and we know what that costs per ounce, as opposed to buying it by the case. And I think we're starting to change our methodology a little bit, rather than doing it one backyard at a time, trying to do it by neighborhood. And I believe if we change that format and start doing it by neighborhood and addressing not just that neighborhood, but what's the upstream cost and the downstream, because if you just take care of that one lot, you move it downstream, then you just make trouble for the downstream people. So I'm very happy that the board and the drainage committee and other folks are trying to take a little more of a buy it by the case rather than buy it by the 12-ounce approach. I think it's going to be better for the neighborhoods and it'll be better for the taxpayers. Okay, so that being said,
Still no second.
was that
We do not
second?
have-
No second.
we get no second, so that item goes away. Okay, do we have any other amendments?
Yeah, actually, Ms. Boyke pulled item 35, and she was incorrect that we didn't have any contracts coming up. We do have Teamsters and we do have police, but honestly, having engaged in some preliminary discussions with the PBA president, I don't think, and having also conferenced it with the chief and with Mr. Germain, I don't think the PBA contract is going to be an extensive or a very difficult one to settle. So I wouldn't have a problem reproposing this either at the 25 cut that she, or, maybe to be safe, bringing it up to 30,000, but I do think we can cut off the 50,000. I didn't get a chance to comment because she pulled it so quickly, but I don't know that we need 50,000. I can't speak to the Teamsters. I've never been involved in those negotiations, but the police contract should be pretty easy to settle. We handled all the big ticket items, I think, with the last contract that we resolved. So, I'd like to bring back Ms. Boyke's, either, I don't know if everybody feels 25 or 30, maybe add a little bit more money just to be safe.
Well, then what actual contracts are we going to be talking? The Teamsters
And the
full contract? You
Yeah,
go
I think
back
there's-
into
there-
negotiations, or we still?
I think they're up, right, next year?
They're up next.
Keeps
And so is
been-
PBA, but the PBA is not going to be a difficult contract to
I
resolve.
would, I think we better keep the facts and not into discussions on the contract.
Well, I'm not discussing particulars. I'm just
No.
saying I
I
don't
know,
think it's going to be
I-
difficult, so,
Better to be cautious.
sure.
Um,
Okay, so that being said,
I guess I'd bring that with to reduce account code 8142041.
I'm gonna ask Mr. Carp's consideration on this. Would you allow Ms. Boyke, if there's no objection by the body, to bring back 35?
No objection.
Okay. Ms. Boyke, would you like to come up with a new number on 35?
Yes, I guess I would like to ask the opinion of the other board members. Would they, how about if we reduce it by 15,000?
I think that's fine.
Okay, further discussion on
Spare.
amended 35?
Amended 35.
Okay, further discussion? Clerk will call the roll.
Seconded.
I don't think anyone did, actually. I'll
Okay.
second it.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Bacallo. Further discussion on amended 35? Clerk will call the roll.
Counselor Blakey.
Yes.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White.
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo.
Aye.
Supervisor Myers.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you for their amendments.
No.
Okay, that being said, we'll have a 20-minute recess. Wayne, if you could please.
Okay,
see
I
what
would
you can
just
do on
like
that. She's gonna
to,
need some time to put that together. Are you confident, Alka?
yes, I just want to let you know what I'm gonna do. Right now, we're $103,000 below the tax cap. I believe it is the intention to stay within the tax cap. So any savings that these budget amendments will go to reduce our reliance on fund balance. And I'll bring whatever it takes to reach what the tax cap is.
Okay,
What are,
defining the tax cap, meaning not the 2%, but. I'm
No,
gonna
it's,
call it-
it works out to 2.67%. We had an increase of the $460,000 from last year's budget and stay within the tax cap.
when you do that, then will you have the original that we started in case it's increased?
Well,
So-
I've given you each a copy of the
Right.
preliminary budget. I'm just going to go in and change the appropriations amounts to reach what the tax cap will be. And then tomorrow I'll change it with the numbers within the budget so that I can present it to the clerk tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, so just summarize, the amendments as they are processed did not define whether it was a tax item or a fund balance item, so that's
So
why.
they're all going to default
Right,
to
so that's
fund
why,
balance.
that's
through-
why Alka's going through that discussion. Is everybody clear on that?
I am. I mean, and I don't know procedurally how to do it. I know that we have $100,000 of wiggle room, for lack of a better term. So, I mean, my suggestion would be to
Use
reduce
all-
the wiggle room to where I think we're focusing now on two things, staying under the tax cap and reducing fund balance. And I'm gonna have a discussion item about the fund balance when we're done with this. So I guess, you know what I'm getting at with that.
Right.
I don't know how close, we can come, but
Well,
I
you can
trust
see,
your
you
judgment.
can, I'll run, I'll do the figures, run them and pass them out and see if you guys like the use of the fund balance.
Okay, all right.
Okay, so we'll have a 20 minutes good for you, Alka? or-
Yeah, I think so.
Thank you.
Okay,
Wayne,
so
elevator music.
I already
Yeah.
practiced.
some of those are done. So Wayne, if you can do what you do to let the folks out there know where we're at.
ready to go.
Okay, folks, we're back at the microphone to do the 2022 budget. Johannes, would you like to present your numbers as modified?
Sure, I had passed out a spreadsheet that shows the effect of appropriations for each item. I tallied them. I put them into my final budget worksheet, reduced my appropriations for the amounts, and then reduced the amount of the reliance on fund balance to keep us under the tax cap by almost $10,000.
Okay, do any members have any questions on Elka's report? Any other comments on the budget at this moment? Okay, we have a motion and a second on number 5, which is the adoption of the 2022 Town of Cicero budget as amended, which approves the 2022 Town of Cicero budget, including special districts. Okay, is the clerk ready?
Yes.
Okay, clerk will call the roll.
Who seconded that?
You're gonna have to check your notes, that was a while ago. We did
I
have a
don't think
motion-
anybody
we have
did,
a
so
motion and a
second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Counselor Bacallo.
You
Thank
are
you.
welcome.
Counselor Boyke,
No.
Counselor Carr.
Yes.
Counselor White,
Yes.
Counselor Bacallo,
Aye.
Supervisor Meyer.
Yes, item is adopted. Thank you. Discussion, the next regular board meeting is December 8th. Any other items before the board?
Yeah, I'd just like to comment. I should have probably made it a discussion or comment on the budget. I believe, and I strongly believe, and I discussed it with the other board members, with our supervisor-elect and also with the comptroller, that we will be reducing the projected fund balance allocation substantially below what we're seeing on the document right now. And I look forward to working with the next board, the next supervisor, and Ms. Johannes to do so.
Okay, further discussion?
Counselor White? Is it okay? Or no?
Oh, I don't
Or we will not be meeting in between. We meet December 8th. I just wanted to wish Counselor White a happy birthday Tuesday next week.
Whatever the opposite of belated is, yes. Happy.
Right,
opposite of
early,
belated.
early.
Happy early.
Coming.
Thank you very
It
much.
is Friday, so it's not super early.
Okay, so any further discussion? I'm sorry, say again? Just a moment. Okay, any other board members have any items? Okay, we're in the public comment period, so Ms. Roth, would you like to?
The holiday tree lighting ceremony that's going to be held at Brewerton Fire Department on Sunday, December 4th. We're also participating in the North Syracuse Holiday Parade that same evening at 5 o'clock, but then the tree lighting, or they're doing a drive-through kind of event at the fire department in Brewerton, and that's at 6 o'clock. And then the following Saturday, which is the 11th, is the Cicero, the big holiday drive-through. We did it last year and we're expanding it this year. It's going to be held at the Mac Center, which is the behind the library, the Twin Rinks area. And that's that Saturday evening from 6 to 8 p.m. We're anticipating about 400 cars to come through, and you're all invited. Hopefully you'll come. We have lots of the departments and some local businesses and organizations coming out to hand out goodies and things to the families, but it should be a fun time. It was great last year. Thank you.
Thank you. Further items
A
under,
quick question,
Yeah.
Teresa, is Cicero having a tree lighting? Oh, lighting. Thank you.
okay, any other items? Okay, I'll move to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second,
Voice vote?